Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while. What a wonderful command Jesus is giving his apostles. Who here wouldn't like to hear those words from their boss at work or from their spouse and family at home? Come away by yourself to a deserted place and rest a while. The apostles have just returned from being sent 2 by 2 by Jesus to go out to those who believed and to heal the people and drive out demons. They were so besought by all the people that we are told they didn't even have time to eat. Jesus knew that they needed time away, time to rest, time to think about what has happened, and time to pray. But as they got into the boat to do just that, the people wanted to be with them and Jesus so much that as they went across the lake, the crowd ran around the perimeter of the lake to the other side to meet them. So the disciples and Jesus only had that short time in the boat to rest and pray. When they got to the other side of the lake, Jesus saw the great crowd and was moved with compassion for them. He taught them, and we will hear next week that he goes on and feeds them with the loaves and the fish. Then Jesus dismissed the crowd, and he goes into the hills alone to pray. We read many times in the Gospels of how Jesus goes off alone to pray. I will recall just a few of those for you. After the multiplication of the loaves and fishes, we hear, after he had sent the crowds away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. And when it was evening, he was there alone. Immediately before choosing the 12 apostles, in these days, he went into the hills to pray, and all night he continued in prayer to God. Immediately before the transfiguration, he took with him Peter, John, and James, and went up on the mountain to pray. Before teaching the Our Father, he was praying in a certain place, and when he ceased, one of the disciples said to him, "Lord, teach us to pray as John taught his disciples." After curing the leper and being besought by the crowds, but Jesus himself would often slip away into the wilderness and pray. After curing Peter's mother-in-law and all who were sick and possessed in the city, in the early morning, when it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went to a secluded place and was praying there. As well as when he was in the desert for 40 days or in the Garden of Gethsemane. It is obvious that Jesus knew the importance of making time and taking time for prayer. Jesus did not just fit prayer in when it was convenient or when he had free time, because he rarely had free time and it was typically not convenient. But by his actions and example, Jesus made known to us the importance of prayer. Prayer was a priority for Jesus. Jesus would get up early or slip away and spend the night in prayer. I know most of us have very busy schedules and little free time. We spend many hours for work and family obligations and needs. When our day is done, it is typically late, and we fall into bed tired or even exhausted. How could we possibly stay up longer or even get up earlier to pray? When or how could we possibly find any more time during our busy day in our lives for prayer? If those are the types of questions that come to mind when we think about adding prayer time, then prayer is not a priority in our life, but it should be. About 15 years ago, when I was first discerning a vocation to the diaconate, a priest told me, "You make time for the things that are important to you." It is a simple but very true statement. Over the years, I have modified that slightly and now say, you do the things that are important to you. Think about it. During the day, throughout the week, we organize and prioritize so that those things that are most important to us get our time and attention first. Today, when thinking about Jesus in prayer, we can make an argument that he was the inspiration for the slogan, "Just do it." So don't make time for prayer. Instead, just do it. Take time for prayer. One of the many wonderful things that will happen when you make prayer a priority in your life, there are two in particular that I would like to share with you. First, time and prayer will give you rest. Oftentimes, prayer is thought of as a task rather than a time of rest. Yet to pray is to rest, to withdraw from this world for a brief time and enjoy the Lord's presence. If you are engaged in physical work without ever stopping to rest, you would collapse. The same is true in the spiritual life. Resting with God in prayer fills us with his presence, grace, and strength so that we can be equipped and enabled to do the tasks that he has given us. Prayer is the rest that strengthens us for the tasks put before us. It is the refreshment that gives us new vigor and zeal. Second, prayer will lead us to greater love of God and others. No one can share what he does not have. So if we are not praying and experiencing God's presence, how can we share it? To share the grace and the word, we must first receive it. To witness to the Lord, we must first know him. Prayer will facilitate both. Prayer has that effect. And drawing close to God, who is love, we are better equipped to love others. Jesus, though he never lacked love for others, models this renewal for us. He has compassion for the crowd and goes on to teach them at great length. Then, after he feeds their minds and souls, he goes on to feed their bodies as well. It may take a lot of time and prayer to fashion and mold our hearts in this way. One of the signs that grace and prayer are having their effect is that our love for others, for complete strangers, even for those who hate us, grows deeper, more compassionate, more patient, and more merciful. So come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while. By making prayer a priority, we will be more rested. We will grow in our relationship and love of God and have greater zeal for our faith. We will become more compassionate and love others more. And it will help us to become the person God intended us to be.